Breaking on April 3rd, 2026, at approximately 7:47 a.m. local time, a U.S. airstrike destroyed the B-1 highway bridge in Karaj, Iran. The bridge was civilian infrastructure. The traffic was morning commuters. The casualties were immediate: 8 killed, 100 wounded. And as rescue workers arrived to pull survivors from rubble, the jets returned. The bridge was hit again. The rescuers were targeted. The wounded were killed. This was not collateral damage. This was deliberate. This was a double tap. And today, as the Pasteur Institute lies in ruins, as 113,000 civilian sites have been struck, as 3 million Iranians are displaced, the world is being told this is precision warfare. This video is going to expose what precision actually means. Welcome back. What happened between April 2 and April 4, 2026 is the most important piece of information about this war character that has been systematically buried under aircraft loss reports, ceasefire negotiations, and diplomatic speculation about de-escalation. We are going through every verified civilian site strike, every documented double tap attack, every medical facility destruction, and every bridge targeting that has reduced Iranian civilian life to expendable calculation, because the question of whether this is warfare or war crime is not semantic debate. It is the central question of American moral authority and international law. Drop a comment right now if you have not seen the full documentation of B-1 bridge double tap, Pasteur Institute destruction, and 113,000 civilian sites presented in one place, because that documentation tells us everything about what this war has become. Let's start with exactly what happened at B-1 bridge, because precision matters here and every minute is documented. The B-1 highway bridge spans the Karaj River 40 kilometers west of Tehran. It is not military infrastructure. It is a transportation artery. Commuters use it daily. Trucks carry goods. Families travel between cities. The bridge has no strategic military value. It has no command center beneath it, no weapons storage, no troop concentration. At 7:47 a.m. April 3rd, U.S. aircraft struck the bridge. The munition was precision-guided. The impact was center-span. The collapse was partial. Traffic was halted. Vehicles were trapped. 8 people were killed instantly. Drivers, passengers, morning commuters. Another 100 were wounded. Shrapnel injuries, crush injuries, burns. The wounded called for help. The bystanders called emergency services. The rescue operation began. The Iranian Red Crescent dispatched ambulances. Fire departments sent rescue teams. Civilians with medical training rushed to the scene. At approximately 8:23 a.m., as rescuers worked through rubble, as wounded were being extracted, as survivors were being stabilized, the aircraft returned. The same bridge, the same location. The rescue workers, the wounded survivors, the civilian volunteers, all targeted. The second strike killed an unknown number. The wounded who had survived the first strike. The rescuers who had come to help. The civilians who had stopped to assist. The exact toll is unconfirmed. The Iranian government claims dozens. The U.S. military has not acknowledged the second strike. The satellite imagery confirms 2 impact craters, 2 separate attacks, 1 location, 36 minutes apart. This is a double tap. The tactic of striking a target, waiting for rescue response, then striking again. The tactic targets rescuers. The tactic targets wounded. The tactic is defined as war crime under Geneva Conventions. The tactic is documented at B-1 Bridge, April 3rd, 2026. Share this video right now because the gap between first strike and second strike was 36 minutes. The gap between warfare and war crime was a deliberate choice. Now let's examine what happened to Iran's most important medical research facility, because accuracy is everything on this channel, and this destruction has implications beyond immediate casualties. The Pasteur Institute of Iran was founded 1920, named after French microbiologist Louis Pasteur, one of oldest and most respected biomedical research centers in the Middle East. Century of infectious disease research, vaccine development, viral study, public health infrastructure, not a military target, not a dual-use facility, medical science. U.S. strikes on April 3rd destroyed the institute. The buildings collapsed. The laboratories were incinerated. The research archives burned. The vaccine stocks were destroyed. The scientists killed or wounded. The century of medical knowledge reduced to rubble. The justification offered was proximity. The Institute was near other targets. The Institute was in the same neighborhood as the suspected military facility. The Institute was collateral damage. But satellite imagery shows direct hits on Institute buildings. Not nearby explosions, not secondary damage, targeted destruction. The implications are catastrophic. Iran COVID response capabilities degraded, polio surveillance destroyed, viral research capacity eliminated. The next pandemic will find Iran unprepared. The next outbreak will spread unchecked. The destruction of Pasteur Institute harms not just Iran. It harms global health security. It harms everyone. Hit subscribe right now, because what I am about to tell you next is the part of this story that the Pentagon desperately does not want assembled in one place. The numbers are staggering. The documentation is verified. The scale is unprecedented. Iranian Red Crescent Society report April 4, 2026, 113,000 civilian sites struck since war began March 28th. Not military bases, not command centers, civilian sites, homes, apartments, schools, hospitals, bridges, power plants, water facilities, markets, mosques, cultural centers. The casualty toll, 2,000 killed, 21,000 wounded. The displacement, 3 million people, 10% of Tehran's population, the largest displacement in Iran in modern history, the largest in the Middle East since 1948. The targeting pattern is documented. Residential neighborhoods in working-class districts, infrastructure that sustains daily life, cultural sites that hold collective memory. The pattern suggests not military necessity, but social destruction. Not the defeat of the enemy, but the punishment of the population. Not precision warfare, but area denial. The B1 bridge was one of 113,000. The Pasteur Institute was one of 113,000. Each with an individual story, each with specific human cost. Each with family grieving. The number is an abstraction. The reality is 8 killed at the bridge, 100 wounded, rescuers targeted, medical science destroyed, civilization reversed. Drop a comment right now. When you see 113,000 civilian sites struck in 8 days, what does that mean to you about precision warfare claims? I genuinely want to know. But civilian targeting is not limited to Iran. The retaliation is expanding. The war is spreading. Iranian strikes April 3rd hit Oracle headquarters in Dubai. The technology company, the cloud infrastructure provider, the civilian business facility, no military value, no command function, corporate office, destroyed. Amazon Web Services facility in Bahrain was struck. Data center, civilian infrastructure, internet backbone, no military target, economic infrastructure, damaged. A Kuwait power plant was hit, oil refinery strike, fires sparked, civilian energy infrastructure, Gulf state target, war expansion. Iran has named 34 additional bridges for targeting. In Kuwait, UAE, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the King Fahd Causeway connecting Saudi Arabia and Bahrain, the Sheikh Jabir Al Ahmad Al Sabah Causeway in Kuwait, civilian transportation infrastructure across the region. The logic is clear. If the U.S. destroys Iranian bridges, Iran destroys Gulf bridges. If the U.S. hits civilian sites, Iran hits civilian sites. Escalation symmetry, civilian targeting as policy, war without limits. Share this video right now, because the expansion from military to civilian targeting is documented on both sides. The precedent is being established. The limits are being erased. Let's be precise about what double tap means in legal terms, because this is not opinion. This is international law. The Geneva Convention's Additional Protocol Y, Article 12, protects medical and religious personnel. Article 15 protects civilian rescue teams. The principle is clear. Those who assist the wounded are protected. Those who respond to disasters are protected. Attacking them is a war crime. The double tap tactic specifically targets first responders. The first strike creates casualties. The second strike kills those who come to help. The purpose is to deny rescue, to maximize death, to terrorize the population, to prevent assistance. The U.S. has used double tap before. Yemen 2012, Afghanistan multiple times. The pattern is documented. The denials are routine. The investigations find no fault. The tactic continues. At B1 Bridge, April 3rd, 2026, the double tap was documented. 2 strikes, 36 minutes apart, rescue workers targeted. The evidence is satellite imagery. The evidence is casualty reports. The evidence is timing. The U.S. military has not acknowledged the second strike, has not acknowledged rescue worker targeting, has not acknowledged war crime. The silence is admission. The silence is protection. The silence is complicated. Stay till the very end, because the final piece of this analysis is the most important context for every person thinking about what 113,000 civilian sites mean for American moral authority. Here is a complete documented picture. B1 Bridge hit twice. 8 killed, rescuers targeted, Pasteur Institute destroyed, a century of medical science burned, 113,000 civilian sites struck, 2,000 killed, 21,000 wounded, 3 million displaced, Oracle Dubai hit, Amazon Bahrain hit, Kuwait power plant burning, 34 more bridges named for targeting, and the human cost behind numbers, the family who crossed the B1 bridge every morning, father driving, children in the back seat, school commute. Now my father is dead, children orphaned. The Pasteur scientist who spent 30 years developing the polio vaccine. Now the laboratory is destroyed. Research incinerated, career erased. The Red Crescent volunteer who rushed to bridge rescue, now targeted in a second strike. Good Samaritan killed, the 3 million displaced. Sleeping in parks, in mosques, in the streets, homes destroyed, neighborhoods flattened, lives dismantled. None of this means the Iranian regime was benign. None of this means its policies were justified. None of this means its regional actions were legitimate. These are real complexities that honest analysts across the political spectrum acknowledge. But there is a difference between military action and civilian targeting, between precision strike and area destruction, between warfare and punishment of the population, between legitimate defense and war crime. The B1 bridge was civilian infrastructure. The Pasteur Institute was medical science. The 113,000 sites were homes and hospitals. The 3 million displaced were innocent people. The double tap was a deliberate atrocity. Let's examine media response to civilian targeting, because the gap between event and coverage reveals systematic prioritization. The aircraft losses dominated April 4th coverage. 2 U.S. warplanes downed. F-15 crew rescued, A-10 pilot missing, Iran offering bounty, Trump frustration with the media, the drama of combat, the spectacle of capture, the human interest of American personnel, the civilian deaths were footnotes, the 113,000 sites were statistics, the double tap was unmentioned, the Pasteur Institute was not named, the 3 million displaced were context, the narrative framework is established, American losses are a tragedy, Iranian losses are an abstraction, American personnel are of human interest, Iranian civilians are collateral, the aircraft downed is headline. The bridge struck twice is not. The silence serves power, protects reputation, maintains legitimacy, permits continuation. If the American public knew of double tap, support would erode. If the American public saw Pasteur ruins, moral authority would collapse. If the American public understood 113,000 sites, war would end. The burial is not a conspiracy. It is structured. Media structure, political structure, military structure, all aligned to obscure what April 3rd, 2026 actually was. The day civilian targeting became policy. The day double tap was documented. The day medical science was destroyed. Now, I want to ask you 3 questions I ask at the end of every video, because your answers are part of the historical record of how people responded to this information. Question A. What would you do with this information if you were a member of Congress right now? Would you demand immediate war crimes investigation into B1 Bridge, double tap, and Pasteur Institute destruction? Or do you believe that regardless of civilian targeting, wartime necessity protects all military decisions from legal scrutiny? Tell me exactly what you would do in the comments. Question B. Who do you trust more on civilian casualty questions? Iranian Red Crescent documentation of 113,000 sites, 2,000 killed, 21,000 wounded, or Pentagon claims of precision targeting with minimal collateral damage? Drop your honest assessment below. Question C. Will you speak out about B-1 bridge double tap, Pasteur Institute destruction, 113,000 civilian sites, 3 million displaced, and systematic targeting of rescue workers and medical facilities? Will you be someone who makes sure that atrocity is part of public record and part of national conversation? Or will you let it get buried under aircraft loss drama and ceasefire speculation? Here is where we stand, April 4, 2026. Day 8 of war, 113,000 civilian sites struck, 3 million displaced, medical science destroyed, rescuers targeted, bridges hit twice, and the world watches aircraft drama while civilians die in rubble. The 8 killed at B-1 bridge have names. Those names deserve to be remembered. If this video gave you a full picture that headlines did not, please share it right now. Every share reaches someone who has been following aircraft drama without knowing what civilian targeting actually looks like. Hit subscribe so you are here when the next major accountability development breaks. And drop a comment below because your voice in this conversation is the most important thing this channel has. We cover this because it matters. We cover it with verified facts because that is only journalism that serves you. And we will keep asking questions that people in power hope you stop asking. I will see you in the next one.